Live from the news leader in Northern California, First 4 News. Here's the very latest.
Still reeling from a devastating fire, an entire city is now almost underwater. 50,000 people told to get out with whatever they can carry. Hello, I'm Wendy Tokuda.
And I'm Pam Moore. Our first story this Monday, the devastation in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Flooding and fire has left it a ghost town. Helicopters today dumped more chemicals on downtown buildings to prevent flare-ups. Over the weekend, several historic buildings went up in flames. The Grand Forks newspaper lost its archives, which date back to the 1800s. The mayor's house is among those flooded. She's one of the thousands now who have been forced from their homes, and like many, she says she's not giving up.
We will recover. We'll take it a day at a time, and working together and just teaming up, we will recover.
The Red River is expected to crest at 26 feet above flood stage today. Water already covers a third of the city. One sign of how bad things are, the University of North Dakota has sent students home for the semester, canceling classes and graduation. President Clinton is scheduled to get a first-hand look at the damage tomorrow. With cleanup yet to begin, though, it's hard to gauge what this is going to cost. And the state's governor is saying that the final bill will easily pass $40 million. We want to check now on the latest for the situation, what's going on in Grand Forks, North Dakota. To do that, we have a reporter standing by. Mark Bernheimer has been covering the story for some time now, and he brings us the latest from that area. Mark.
Well, good evening. On a normal Monday evening here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, this would be a very busy intersection, especially at rush hour. Right now, of course, it is totally deserted except for occasional service vehicles and emergency vehicles. Those are the only kinds of vehicles being permitted in this area, and you can see why, because water has inundated intersections like this one, and in fact, more than 75% of the entire town of Grand Forks. At this point, Mother Nature has moved into this area, and just about everyone else has moved out.
There is an eerie quiet throughout Grand Forks, North Dakota today. The 500-year flood has run nearly all of the city's 50,000 residents out of town. Many who have fled their homes have come here to the Grand Forks Air Force Base. It is warm and dry here. There is food, and evacuees can take advantage of telephones and electricity, luxuries the rest of the city has now lost.
It hasn't been all bad. I'm glad we had a place to come to, and these people have been so great.
I felt like a bag lady. Had shopping bags full of, clothes and stuff, but, we have our health and we have our life, so that's okay.
If there is one bright note, it is this. The fires that destroyed 3 blocks of downtown Grand Forks have now been extinguished. Officials have cut off all power to downtown. Electrical shorts are believed to have caused the fires. For many who have been victimized by this catastrophe, the worst part is the uncertainty. How bad is the damage back home? When will it be safe to return? The bloated Red River was expected to crest today, but previous predictions concerning this river and this disaster have proven woefully inaccurate. And even when the river does finally stop rising, water levels are expected to drop very slowly, releasing the city of Grand Forks only a little at a time.
Now, one congressman from this region has said that FEMA low-interest loans won't be enough to get this community back on its feet. He says he's going to request actual grants, no strings attached money from Washington in order to help the people out here. President Clinton might have something to say about that when he tours this area tomorrow. Reporting live from Grand Forks, North Dakota, I'm Mark Bernheimer. Back to you.
Mark, thank you. Because of the contaminated water and the swift currents and the power outages, residents of Grand Forks could be out of their homes for at least 2 weeks by some estimates.
Pam, back here in the Bay Area, health officials are checking samples from a steam leak at a power plant in Contra Costa County, trying to figure out if it was toxic. The PG&E plant is on Willow Pass Road and Railroad Avenue in Pittsburg. Some people were evacuated as a precaution today, and our News Center 4's Brenda Burdette is on the scene with a live update. Brenda?
Hi, Wendy. Well, that's the power plant behind me. And as you can see, there are homes very close by and, of course, schools as well. And that's why people here are very concerned. At about 12:30 today, an insulation seal on a boiler ruptured at this PG&E power plant, spewing steam and chunks of the insulation. The problem is PG&E doesn't know what that insulation is made of. There's an off chance it could be cancer-causing asbestos, so it's taken air samples for testing. Nearby Riverview Park was evacuated, and students at St. Peter Martyr Private School were told they either had to stay inside or could go home. No homes in the area were evacuated. Now, the Contra Costa Public Health Department is also taking air samples, but don't know when they'll have results. Now, asbestos is a mineral that is for years was used as an insulator. That is until they found out it caused cancer. In adults, it usually takes 40 to 50 years to develop into a problem, but children that are exposed could die after only 3 months. So it is a very big problem. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they haven't determined whether or not asbestos indeed was released into the air, but they hope to have the results sometime soon. Wendy, back to you.
Okay, Brenda, thanks for that report. Pam?
The family of a kidnapped Southern California boy is appealing for the public's help today to find their child's killer. Dental records confirm that a body discovered this weekend in a remote desert area southeast of L.A. is that of 10-year-old Anthony Martinez. Anthony was kidnapped at knife point from right behind his home on April the 4th. Investigators have released a sketch now of the stranger, described as white, slim, with a mustache and blue eyes. They also hope that new clues found near Anthony's body will help them track down the male suspect.
And opening arguments began in Pennsylvania today in a trial that pits religion against medicine. Lori and Dennis Nixon of Altoona are charged with involuntary manslaughter in connection with the death of their 16-year-old daughter. She died last year of heart disease brought on by untreated diabetes. The Nixons never took their child to a doctor because they're members of the Faith Tabernacle Church, which believes that faith can heal. The couple also had an 8-year-old son who died from an untreated ear infection several years ago.
In Canada, meanwhile, an unbelievable end to a most bizarre stalking mystery. It turns out that a 15-year-old son is responsible for torturing his own family for months by tapping phone lines and interrupting conversations. In fact, you might have seen the story of the Tomai family on NBC's Dateline Friday night. They spent thousands of dollars trying to rid themselves of a spooky voice known as Somi. The eerie calls filled them with so much fear and so much anxiety that the Tomais put their house up for sale. It turns out Billy Tomai finally confessed after taking a lie detector test.
When my mom was upstairs, or like I would go downstairs and pick up the phone. And if my mom was downstairs, I'd go upstairs. I wasn't really afraid of being grounded. I was afraid of my mom like disowning me and that. I was just really scared.
The parents say they will get professional help for their son. They will not file charges.
It's going to take days to clean up in northern Ohio after a freight train derailment there. The 144-car Conrail train jumped the tracks near Sandusky Bay, one of its cars plunging into the water there. State police evacuated people living within a half-mile radius of the crash site. They were afraid that toxic chemicals might be on board, but as it turned out, that train was loaded with general freight, nothing dangerous, no one hurt. And for the third time in a week, a military plane has crashed in Georgia. An Air Force F-16 fighter jet went down in a swamp this morning, but the pilot was able to eject safely. The plane was about 20 miles from Moody Air Force Base. Military investigators are on the scene. They are also working 2 separate crashes in recent days involving a spy plane and an A-10 Thunderbolt. And bad weather is keeping search crews from getting a closer look at what could be the wreckage of that A-10 missing in the Colorado Rockies right now. Pieces of metal were spotted from the air yesterday, but they're in a very steep snow-covered area that can only be reached by a special helicopter that would drop in ground crews. The winds today were too strong to send into that chopper, so recovery crews are going to try again tomorrow.
Well, our own weather is pretty humid, a few clouds and rain in some spots right now.
And this is the view right now from our 24-hour news camera at the Golden Gate Bridge. You can see the driver. Well, you can't see anything there right now, but the drivers are certainly using their window wipers. We're going to go to Steve Raleigh right now in the weather office for a first-hand look at the weather. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Wendy. Yeah, you're right. You can barely see anything from the camera, and we've got more clouds and more fog to talk about. Let me go on the box here. First, go on our own local radar, and we are seeing some drizzle around here right now, but nothing heavy enough to show on the radar. You do see it, though, as we go to the state and take a look more at the region. Some of the areas, right up here, you'll see right by the Oregon border, then stretching over into parts of Nevada, there's some thunderstorms. And coming up, we may see some thunderstorms in Northern California, too. Let me show you why. A couple of systems are out there now. We've got number 1 here, we've got number 2 there, and both of which are pretty much making a beeline for the Golden State, or such as it is come these parts. So expect more showers in the forecast as soon as maybe tonight, and then certainly for tomorrow. We'll define it for a little bit more when we come back in the full weather segment, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Look for you then. Well, just plain wear and tear is most likely to blame for a sinkhole in San Francisco's Chinatown. It happened on Grant Avenue at Geary just about 9 o'clock this morning. The sinkhole swallowed up the tires of an elevator repair van. It had to be hauled out with a tow truck. At first, the fire department thought a broken underground pipe was to blame, but apparently that wasn't the case. Other than the van, no damage or injuries.
And it's time now for a quick look at the Monday afternoon commute. We're going to go get the latest from News Center 4's Stephanie Kirby, who's in the newsroom right now. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Wendy and Pam. Good afternoon, everyone. That fog we showed you at the Golden Gate Bridge is also hiding some traffic. Apparently, a bicyclist was injured there on the ramp, and bridge crews had the right lane closed. Traffic's now backed up at the Golden Gate Bridge northbound back to 19th Avenue. Let's take a look now at the approach to the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. You see at the top of your screen, eastbound 80 starting to slow down as you make your way toward the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. And on the other side of the Bay Bridge, coming off the decline section going out to the MacArthur Maze, a little slow. There is an accident in Oakland westbound 580. That's past Keller. 4 cars there have just been moved to the shoulder. Let's take a trip to the South Bay now. We'll take a look at Highway 101 here under the Guadalupe Parkway. Starting to slow down there also for the Monday afternoon commute. And remember, you can get traffic updates all the time at our website. That's KRON online at the gate. The address is on your screen. That's sfgate.com. And Pam and Wendy, back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Well, still to come, a lot more to cover of the news for you today. Up next, it's legal to sell marijuana for medicine. So why then did federal agents today raid a Bay Area company which was doing just that?
Also a warning about a key ingredient in creams and lotions that promise to make you look younger.
And the airline rated #1 in the country. Here's a hint, it's not one of the ones you see here. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're watching Wendy Tokuda and Pam Moore on First 4 News.
New trouble today for clubs that sell marijuana for medical use. DEA agents raided one in San Francisco's Mission District early this morning. It's on 17th Street. It's called the Flower Therapy Club. Agents took away 331 marijuana plants. They did not make any arrests. The DEA says it's just following federal law, which is not affected by Proposition 215, the Medical Marijuana Initiative. But the club's founders say that by following 215, they've done nothing wrong.
Everything we're doing here is right, and now it's law, and we're following the law. We are designated caregivers for over 1,000 people here, and I can't believe that they're doing this to us.
In spite of the raid, people were still lighting up at the club today, and Flower Therapy's founders are promising to stay open. Pam?
For your health today, new computer technology offers doctors their first wide-angle view of the inside of a patient's body. It's a new type of ultrasound machine that assembles a wide-angle view instantly at the touch of a probe. Until now, doctors had to move the probe back and forth to view different sections of an organ. A computer would then process the information into a wide-angle picture. The new technology should improve the accuracy of diagnosis, and it should reduce the number of repeat exams. And your saliva may one day serve as the best medium for testing your level of stress. Researchers at Northwestern University Medical School have discovered an enzyme in saliva that increases when you are stressed. They say it's a more accurate method than measuring heart rate, which responds to too many other factors. Researchers have developed a kit with a small sponge to take a sample. The sample is tested at a lab, and if it changes color, then there is stress. The U.S. Army may be the first to use the saliva test for measuring potentially harmful stress levels in the field.
We could use it in the newsroom here. In other health news, a warning about a very popular beauty product. Lotions containing alpha hydroxy are touted for their power to make the skin look younger. But for some women, the acid ingredient can do more harm than good.
The skin is thick and rough, and it burned whenever I put anything on it.
Not exactly the results Althea Williams wanted to see in the mirror after trying a product that was supposed to make her skin look younger.
Let's take a look.
This woman now makes monthly visits to the doctor.
It burned very deeply into the pores of the skin.
They blame skin products containing alpha hydroxy acids, the same exfoliating ingredient that others swear by.
It makes it look younger. I mean, I know I'm young, but it feels like it makes my face glow.
You'll find products with alpha hydroxy acid at any pharmacy or cosmetics counter, ranging from lotions to washes. And while many women feel they do make their skin look younger by peeling away the old skin cells, some doctors warn it's not for everyone.
People who have dry skin should exercise caution because they're quite likely to have a reaction. People with darkly pigmented skin.
This doctor says it's hard to tell who will have a reaction. But if you're concerned, experts say always do a patch test and start off with skincare products with lower concentrations of the acids.
I want my skin back like it was.
Meanwhile, this woman says she'd simply settle for her old skin. And another warning for anyone using wrinkle creams that contain alpha hydroxy. FDA advisory panel says that they may make your skin more sensitive to the sun. So if you use the creams, you should always use a sunscreen when you're outdoors.
There is a story breaking right now that we want to tell you about on the San Francisco waterfront. It is at Pier 9. Apparently someone has fallen into the water. There are a number of emergency crews and vehicles on the scene. As you see there, fireboats, there are divers in the water, and ambulances on the scene. We don't have any other details about who might have fallen in, how it happened, but we do know a search is underway, and once we get additional information, you're looking at live pictures here from our Embarcadero camera. We'll certainly bring you the latest information as soon as we get it. Moving on, though, a traffic nightmare in one of the world's busiest cities. Up next, why roads and rails and airports shut down today in London.
Also, the High Court makes a ruling that could affect athletic programs across the country.
And the first funeral in space when we come back. The nation's highest court wants women athletes to suit up and compete with the same funding as their male counterparts. Supreme Court justices today let stand lower court rulings that said Brown University illegally discriminated against women when it cut back on athletic programs back in 1991. The decision could have an effect on women's collegiate sports all across the nation. Brown University has since filed a compliance plan to make sports opportunities equal for all.
World is changing. Bomb threats made it almost impossible to get around London this morning, and that tops our look at news from around the world today. There were no explosions, but the police were not taking any chances. They shut down key intersections, the subways, 4 train stations, and Gatwick Airport. There's been no claim of responsibility, but it is believed that the IRA is trying to disrupt upcoming elections. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will not be indicted for appointing a political ally as Attorney General. Last week, the police recommended the indictment, claiming that Netanyahu was trying to influence the justice system. But prosecutors say there is no evidence that he committed any crime. Now, opponents are asking Israel's Supreme Court to overturn the decision, and they are still demanding that Netanyahu resign. A final blast-off for Timothy Leary and Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. Their remains were sent into orbit today on board a Spanish rocket. They're traveling in a lipstick-sized aluminum capsule about 300 miles above Earth. A company in Texas is planning more of these so-called space funerals. Every vial will hold less than half an ounce of ashes and cost $4,800 to send into space.
Southwest Airlines proves once again that bigger is not necessarily better. For the second year in a row now, the small Dallas-based carrier finished #1 in a survey of the nation's airlines. Researchers at the University of Nebraska and Wichita State looked at criteria like on-time performance, customer complaints, lost bags, and safety records, and they say Southwest was the clear leader last year. It's followed by 5 other airlines: American, United, Delta, Continental, and Northwest. U.S. Airways, America West, and TWA round out the list. Overall, though, the report did say that quality and service are going down.
Denied boardings, involuntary denied boardings, not letting people on airplanes, is up. They've lost more bags than they did in 1995. They have more consumer complaints per passenger base than they had in 1995. And the aircraft got older.
Continental won special recognition for making the most dramatic improvements from 1995. It jumped from last place to 5th. But like Wendy said, what about the food?
Yeah, what about that food, huh? Muggy day around the bay, and now word of some rain.
How much more will we get? Steve Raleigh is up next with the weather.
meteorologist Steve Raleigh with the Bay Area's online weather.
Oh, I'm liking this time of the month. I tell you, April has brought some nice surprises to the weather department, some weather to talk about. Let's do that, just that. Show you a sky track here first in a second, but how about what the numbers are around the Bay Area? We certainly have plenty of clouds. Numbers are mild, and it's certainly muggy. I heard Wendy mention that, in fact, going into the break, and that is so true. 62 outside the studios here. We run as high as into the mid-70s in other locations. As we fly around, you'll see the little bit of showers, the drizzle we've had, and certainly the clouds around the Bay Area here just from earlier today. Here's the official radar, and nothing is showing up at the time. We had a few showers showing out here in just the last 15 minutes or so, but things have dried up a bit. Here's the statewide look, and you'll notice for yourself a lot of the action has been to the north around the Oregon border. There's some showers over the Tahoe area as well. Let me show you all of the cloudiness here in the last 24 hours. This is a loop of each image. Watch it just kind of move through the Bay Area, Northern California. Boom, right there. That was a little bit of rain we had yesterday. And now we're looking for some more rain coming up. For tonight, I don't know. That frontal system could take maybe another 12 hours or so. I would say drizzle to a light shower. We had a light shower in Fairfield on our observation here in the past half hour. Temperatures in the 60s. Then through overnight into the first part of the morning, more drizzle to maybe a light shower. Temperatures into the 50s, upper 50s to about 60 degrees in San Jose, 57 in San Francisco. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, that's when we'll start to see the showers. You're going to need the umbrella tomorrow if you go out for lunchtime at work or on the way home for tomorrow. And still, more humid weather is in store, too, as it stays muggy because we're getting a lot of tropical air up in here, fueling the, pumping the skies and getting everything ready to rain. So as we go through the next couple of days, you'll see the clouds, and even into the first part of Wednesday, fog is certainly going to be a problem, too. Then we're going to see windy conditions as we head into the weekend, but some better weather once we get to Friday and Saturday. Just before I close it out here, I want to take a second to welcome Wendy and Tim Haddix and myself. Actually, we got you a little bit of flowers. We haven't had a chance to. Now, Tim, Belva's not coming back. We can take those, right? Okay, very good. Yeah, so we got those for you, Wendy. We just haven't had a chance to bring them out just yet.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that a lot. Thanks a lot.
Well, Steve, it's nice you took the initiative because that's what I was about to do, to welcome Wendy for News Center 4, being back in the Bay Area.
I can't tell you how happy I am to be home.
Good. We're happy to have you. Now we'll check in with Suzanne to find out what's coming up at 5 o'clock. Suzanne?
All right, and we'll wait for later to tell us, Wendy, to tell us what she didn't like about L.A. But they are graphic. They're deadly serious. We're going to show you parts of the new public service campaign aimed at preventing a hazard that claims dozens of lives in California every year. It has been 1 month since Caltrans cracked down on homeless encampments near San Francisco freeways. Did the enforcement stick? You may be surprised at what our cameras found. And also coming up at 5, something that could make vitamin pills obsolete. Hope to see you then.
All right, Suzanne, we'll see you at 5 o'clock.
And I promised my husband, Suzanne, no L.A. bashing. That's it for us for First 4 News.
Access Hollywood is coming up next. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Bye-bye.
This has been a production of KRON, Channel 4, the news and information leader in Northern California.